Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Reborn Dolls with Karen. Today we have two babies on the table. We have Autumn and Lucy. Both are very nice kits. Lucy has a lot of potential in her face. I may be highlighting some of her with purple. I mostly don't use purple, but I may use some on her. I also found out while I was checking the kits out that one of these legs, I believe it's one that's going to Lucy, has got a spot on it. Yep, it's this one, where the sealer is missed. You can tell by touching it that it has a textury feel, but where the sealer was missed, it's very smooth. So it won't affect me creasing her, and I can blot a little on there right before I put it in the oven to cover that spot. So we'll be doing that in this step as well. So these are going to be Lucy's limbs and these are Autumn's limbs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be mostly concentrating on Autumn, but at some point during the process I will be doing some to Lucy as well. I'm going to do them both on camera, and when I finish Autumn I'm going to start on Mary as I'm continuing to work on Lucy. So we'll be just combining it. Every step I won't be doing something on Lucy, I don't think. It just makes the video segments a little too long. But I have thoroughly cleaned and sealed both of these dolls, except for that one little spot. I kind of felt all over Autumn, and she feels like she is. I wonder what that is on her heel. She's got a little indentation on her heel. I don't know what that is. I sure hope, there's no way I can see inside. I sure hope that's not going to turn into a crease and split open. That would just make me angry. I paid a lot for Autumn, and if she splits open, I'm going to be very, very angry. Anyway, we're going to start on them, and what I'm going to do is crease them. I'm going to be using this pencil. It's a Prismacolor Premier pencil in the color of henna. Now you can use any color you really want. Some people use purple, some people blue, some people red. It's just all a preference. I wanted a color that looked more closer to a skin tone color than to some other color. I put a lot of red on my dolls anyway, and I figured red wouldn't show. Red would be my second choice. This is a brownish red kind of. Some people even use brown. I've heard people say, oh, I do it in brown. But sometimes people just paint a little bit of purple in that area just to make it darker. Purple is a darkening color, and a shadowy darkened color. And as you paint other colors on top of purple, that area would be darker than, say, the actual toes themselves. I'm talking about the area between the toes and the little creases on the toes. They would come out a little darker. That's what purple will do for you. But as far as seeing a real crease, you really wouldn't do it because it just makes a darker color underneath it. So sometimes I think it's too dark. So I would rather crease a line than try to just darken the creases. I don't know. It's a preference. You can do whatever you want. I'm just going to be tracing the lines between the toes. See, some of the toes are touching each other. Well, all of the toes on this doll are touching each other. But see, on some dolls, there'll be one or two separate toes. And sometimes, see, this pinky toe's not touching the rest of the toes on this doll. And on this one, the big toe and the second toe are not touching. So it's different on different dolls. Sometimes their hands are folded in like this. Sometimes they're open. Sometimes they're partially open. Sometimes the fingers are touching. Sometimes one or two of them won't be touching. Every doll's going to have a little bit of a difference to it. So you just have to go with what you have. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to just go with what we have. We have a pretty baby here. She has nice limbs. And we're just going to trace as many of these lines as we think are feasibly possible. That too is a preference. No creases are required. You crease if you want to crease, and if you want to crease, you crease exactly what you want to crease. I try to crease a little more than most people do because every crease is not going to show. Some of them are superficial and they're going to wash out as you're painting, which, okay, that's fine. Every crease doesn't need to show. But which one? Which one's going to wash out? Can you predict it? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So if you do more creases, then more will show. If you want them to show. If you don't want them to show, if you think a particular type of crease is ugly or would make the baby too striped looking, sometimes they look kind of striped, then don't do it. Don't do that crease. Creases are to enhance the look of your doll. And if you think doing that crease will not enhance the look of your doll, then by all means, don't do it. I don't crease the face for that very reason. It makes them look weird. Because their face should be pristinely just painted softly and pretty. And we put enough on the face with, and highlights with blush and stuff. And I just don't think creases on the face are necessarily attractive. Now, if they have some prominent features, like they're a crying baby, and they have a few little wrinkles like between their nose or something, and you think they're cute and you want them to show, well, then you need to do them. Otherwise, I'd say skip them. If they have too many creases on their face, they could end up looking angry or monstery. We don't want any of those looks. Whatever look you don't want. If you look at your baby doll and you see something on the face that you're going, I definitely do not want that to show, that would be something you would not enhance in any way because you don't want it to show. If you want your creases to be a little less pencil-y looking, just take a, excuse me, I gotta sneeze. Just take a swab and rub them a little bit. Don't rub them too much, you'll rub out all the color. What we're trying to do is soften them a little bit. And some of these more intense looking creases can be very, like that, very pencil-y looking. Now they're gonna get less pencil-y looking as you're painting your doll. I'm not rubbing the feet, not much on the feet lasts anyway. And by rubbing it, you're diminishing it to a point where it might not last at all. None of it will. Now on the bottom of the feet, I think that's super important to crease. I like to do that. If I wasn't going to crease any other part of the doll, I would do the bottom of the feet. They look the cutest when they're finished, and they really make the little wrinkles stick out. You can see them. Babies have very wrinkly little feet. If you ever noticed your newborn, I mean, if you never saw your, some people don't see the baby when they're a newborn. But I'm not talking about the mother. The mother always sees it, but I'm talking about other relatives like dads and aunts and uncles and stuff. They may not see them when they're first born. Their little feet are super folded looking. And as a matter of fact, more parts of their body can be folded. My granddaughter was folded in half. She tried to come out butt first, and they had to do an emergency C-section to keep her from crushing to death. And my son had folded ears. The top parts of his ears were folded down. This part of his ear was folded in. I thought, oh no, he's cursed for life with ears like that. But they straightened out. They really did. I spent a lot of time when I was holding them, smoothing them out and trying to make them, go the right way. And they just straightened out. They just do. And my little granddaughter, who was folded in half when she was born, she straightened out as well. They'd put her legs down and they'd end up right by her head again like this. She was folded in half. And so they just put her legs down and then they'd swaddle her so they wouldn't go back up. And they told her mother to do that at home too, so that, it would help her. Her muscles would eventually hold her legs down. But the problem was she was folded for such a length of time that it was squeezing her together, and it was making her muscles really tight that way, and they wouldn't relax or something when she was first born. But she straightened out, so no biggie. And a lot of those things that, babies are sometimes born with misshapen heads as well, because they were squeezed a little bit. I don't know. And if it takes them a long time to be born, they can have a cone looking head. It's kind of ugly, but it straightens out. And we're not going to think our baby's ugly anyway. We're going to think it's absolutely gorgeous no matter what it looks like. It can be the ugliest hunk of homemade soap you ever saw, and you're going to think it's beautiful because it's your baby. But other people are going, oh my goodness, look at that baby, And we don't see it because we're only looking at our babies through eyes of love. And that's for sure. I had beautiful babies, but of course, that's a mother's opinion. I don't know what other people thought of them. Everybody always says, oh, he's so cute. I just had boys. I didn't have any girls. My little girl was not my natural child. She was just one I raised. I felt blessed to have her. Anyway, now the hands. The hands also as well are just as important as the feet. They're one of the cutest part of a doll is their hands and feet. And of course their face is cute, but arms and legs themselves, not so cute. But the hands and feet are just adorable. So we want to make them look as adorable as we can. They're one of the big points of the doll that help to sell them. And we need to see a difference. See, it looks like plastic, kind of. The finger is against this thumb, and there's no definition between them at all. It doesn't even look like, I don't know, it just looks plasticky. But when we put now these are going to look pencily, but right now. But you've seen my work, and you've seen that the pencily look goes away. And they start to just look like fingers. But see how tracing around that finger just puts a definition between them. That's what we're looking for, just a definition. We don't have to have any special way it's going to look. Doesn't have to be any special color that you don't like. It can be pretty much any color. Now, you wouldn't want to do orange or green. That would be too bizarre, but you know what I mean. Any color you're putting on your doll, pretty much. Now, if you're using red and then you're going to paint the fingers, you're going to be painting out the creases. They won't show because you're putting red right on top of them. But we are just going to be putting red on the fingers, and well, the whole bottom of the foot and the toes on the top. But this is a form of a red color. I guess it's a reddish brown color, but it's not the same as red. If you're using a red pencil, let's say, and it's about the same color as your blush, because that would be the color I would think that people would use. They wouldn't use primary red. I mean, I hope they wouldn't. But I mean, you can. There's nothing wrong with any color you want to put on your doll because it's your doll. And if you're making it for yourself especially, do whatever, ever you like. And if you're making it to sell, you need to try to think about what is going to sell. Now, we all still want to do what we like because there is that chance that your doll will not sell and you will end up keeping it or donating it, whichever one you want to do. But if you are going to be keeping it, you need to be thinking about, what do I want it to look like if I end up keeping it? Most people make the dolls the way they would like to have them themselves. Now, some people don't, and sometimes I don't, because I know what sells. And I know what people are looking for, and I don't necessarily need or want that in a doll I'm going to keep for myself. When I'm making a doll strictly for myself, I do make it slightly different. Now on this elbow, she's got these little dimples. You can color them in, use the flat side of your pencil like this, and then you're going to take your swab. Now this is one you want to smear, and we're going to smear it out to where it just barely shows like that. And it'll leave a little bit of a darker spot in those little areas. Now we're going to do this one. But if you're making your doll to sell, you definitely want to put certain attributes in your doll. I don't find that modeling, I do sometimes do veining. I don't always do it. I don't always even do all the colors, but I do not find that modeling helps sell your doll. Most people who have gotten my dolls have said how pretty they think they are. I did go away from that real scratchy feeling sealer. This is some of it, what I used on this doll, but I kind of tweaked it where it's not so scratchy, because people do not like that scratchy sealer. Why does it feel so scratchy? And I think a lot of people are using smoother sealer now. And that's what's in that box that's getting given away, is the smooth sealer. It gives your doll a super lovely finish, and it's smooth. I do like the texture on my dolls. That's why I'm not using it. I used many bottles of it, and it's good sealer. And most people would like it. I now like this sealer better because, I don't know, it's just got a texture to it. And I like the texture. But a lot of people don't. And I'm talking about buyers, not artists necessarily. A lot of people don't like the texture. They want their doll to feel soft and smooth like a real baby would feel. Babies don't have textury skin. And so they're going, why does it feel like that? It's sealer. It protects your baby. Oh. Most people aren't heavy complainers, but some people are. I've had a few people want their money back because of it. So I put it in the listing now. They're sealed. The sealer gives them a texture. You can feel it. So they know ahead of time that it's going to have a texture. Okay, now we're going to move to these limbs. I've got to remember to put some sealer on this. I'm not going to worry about baking her twice because she will bake twice with enhancements. I will put the sealer on that spot when I get finished with this round of enhancements. And then when she bakes, she'll come out. She'll need a second bake, but that's when I'll be doing the pink on her toes and stuff. And when she goes back in for that bake, she'll get her second bake. So that'll be good enough because I won't be painting any part that is getting sealer on it in between. You don't have to be super perfect with your creases. One thing you do need to do, though, is stay in the line. They don't have to be any certain particular depth or darkness. You can do them as light or as dark as you want. But one thing you want to do is get them in the crease. Creases that are outside the crease line, they're just stray marks, really. And it doesn't mean that it's ruined your doll. It just means, okay, I should have stayed in the crease. That's what it means, basically. But you can still make a nice doll if you get out of the creases. And at this stage, if you don't erase too hard, you could take a nice white. I used to have one. I just ordered a school eraser like little kids have when they need to erase and their pencil no longer has an eraser on it. It's just a block type eraser, but it's white, because those colored ones, I don't know, might get something on your doll. And it needs to be clean. If you've used it and gotten color on it, you need to rub it on papers or paper towels or something to get it back to being clean. Because you don't want to rub it again on another doll and then that red come off onto your doll. And you can erase real hard because you can actually erase the sealer and everything. It'll take it off. So the only time that I recommend erasing is when you're doing creases, because any other time you're going to take paint. It's a rub. You're making a rub on your doll, and a rub usually goes down to the vinyl. Usually, now if you're erasing very lightly, then you're not going to take off that much. You'll just take off the pencil. But most of this pencil right now, if I wanted it off right now, I just wet a sponge and wipe it off. It's very easy to wipe off at this point. Now, if you wait till tomorrow and go, oh, I think I want that line off, it might not come off that easy. You might have to use alcohol. Now, you don't do it if you're doing an air dry doll. Alcohol is probably going to take your paint off. But there's no paint on this doll right now. She's just getting her creases. I like my creases to be undertones. Some people crease very last. And whenever you crease, that's up to you. If you really want a crease to show, you need to watch it throughout the entire process of reborning your doll. Some of them, like I said, are going to wash away. And if you really want, say, a chin crease or something, you might have to redo it. When I really want something to show, like I'm going to be enhancing part of Lucy's face with some purple probably, I use paint for that kind of enhancement because pencils just won't do it. It's like you're coloring your doll with a pencil. And it's too big of an area, and it's not just in a crease. It's just like a dimples or indentations in their face or something that you want enhanced. And they really need a different kind of enhancement. Creases are just lines, basically. And lines are easier to be done with pencils than they are with paint. But actual enhancements of the face are easier to do with paint. Well, that was too easy. This arm was too easy. Oh, I didn't do the dashes on her finger. I didn't do her fingers. That's why it was so easy. Wow. A way to skip a whole part of the doll. I'd be coming back trying to do that. That's what happens when you're talking, I guess. By getting her all creased up at the same time as the other doll, I will be able to work on her a little at a time. Like I'll go put Autumn in the oven, and then I'll race back over here, and while Autumn's baking, I can be working a little bit on Lucy. And this is what I do off camera all the time. Like I'd already have Autumn in the oven baking, usually. And then I would have Lucy that I'm working on. But I just went on and creased them both at the same time. On this first bake, they'll both be ready when I come back. That way I'll be ready to start on them at a moment's notice. I won't have to spend so much time waiting for one to bake. They'll both be baked. And during the break, I'm going to get me something to drink because I am extremely thirsty. I get super thirsty from my medicine. And it's not a comfortable feeling when you're talking because, well, when you get this dry mouth that I've got, when you talk, it gets even drier. And sometimes my tongue won't even move. If you've ever had a mouth that dry, you know what I mean. It's like you can't even move your tongue because it's just like a piece of sandpaper. You can barely make a word. I think, I know I was talking about in Ever's video, pricing and stuff. I'm just so extra proud of my work now. I think it's bumped up a bit, that I'm going to bump up my prices a little bit. I'll start posting my dolls for more. Now that's a good way to start your business out. You start out at a price that the dolls you're currently making is worth. And as your abilities become better and better, you raise your prices up. Like, I've made 20 dolls and I priced them at $250. Now they're better, I'm going to price them at $300 or whatever price you pick. And I would leave the others $250 because they are of less caliber. We want to be fair about our pricing, but we want to get what our dolls are really worth. Because we work hard. Artists are hard workers, and people don't realize it. Okay, they are all, I need to keep track of which one of these limbs has got it's this one, has got the smooth place up here by the knee. So I can do that. Now, I'm going to start on the face, and I'm going to start on Lucy. Lucy's got all these little frowns up here on her face that would look extremely good to me if they were highlighted. I think they would. So I'm going to do that. The first thing I'm going to do is purple on this baby. I'm going to be trying to highlight these little indentations right here. I don't want to make her look super grouchy, but she is frowning a bit because she is a little bit grouchy. So we're going to make her look a little bit grouchy. At least that's the point here that I'm trying to make. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some purple. Now this is eyelid purple. This is not creases. The one that's called creases, I don't use that. I don't like the color of it. Let me just get any old sponge here. And it's too reddish purple. I don't know if you can see this purple on her face. It doesn't need to be super dark, because what it's going to do, I don't know if you can see it. This side doesn't have any, this side does. What it's going to do is just make that tiny little area a little bit darker. We don't want it super dark. We don't want her to have obvious purple on her face. It is obvious looking right now, but when she comes out, it's going to be subtle. Because as you know, I've said it enough times, everything lightens when it bakes. Now this will lighten to the point where if you see it, you will barely see it. We're looking for a feeling more than we are obvious. If it's obvious, it's going to be too dark when you get finished. We're looking for a subtle feeling that maybe she has a shadowy little bit of effect on her face. I'm going to put just a little above her brow line on both sides to enhance her little frown a little bit. Now, if you can see that, you can tell. Now, if she wasn't going to be painted any darker color, that's a highlight right there. Now, we can also highlight some of these other little areas, like right here above her eyes, like that, and below her eyes down here. We just have to be very careful with our brush. We don't want to make her look like a clown or a monster or anything like that. Some enhancements are just too much. And if you do them, your doll looks strange. So we're going to be very careful enhancing Lucy. We're not going real dark, and we're not going super big areas. We are just doing small areas. I want to put some around her nose, so I am going to use this smaller brush, and I'm just going to dibble it around inside the bristles of this brush to try to get enough out to put some around the edge of her nose. I just want that to show. It's going to make it a little bit darker, and I've done this many times, but I've gone away from it. But on this baby, we're going to do some enhancing. When I start enhancing, I start wanting to do more enhancements. So a tiny tap of a pounce is required for almost all paint you put on a doll. Now we can also do this little, I forgot what you call it, this little part between the, right here on above her lip. That little indentation. I forget, it's called something. And under her chin down here, we can do that. It helps that our paint is nearly almost dry. It will stick better than if I opened up the purple and started using really wet purple. You can do that though. If you don't have any dry paint in a brush like this, you absolutely can do it that way. You just get out your wet paint, and what you want to do is make your brush slightly damp. No running, blobbing, none of that. Now I did around her lips a little bit, around her nose, close to her eyes. I want to make this a really pretty Lucy. If she looks good, she's going to be my keeper instead of the one that I already have. I'll put a little bit on her eyelid. It is called eyelid purple for a reason. There's little creases on the eyelids that should show on a doll. I don't usually do this much enhancing, but you can. There's nothing to stop you from doing it. It is a preference how much you crease or don't crease your doll. I don't usually do any creasing on the face at all. But there, she is creased. She has got some creases on her face. Now, whether or not you'll be able to see them, I don't know. Now, I saw another artist doing this just recently, coloring in the little part that would actually be the hole in the ear. Some people drill these holes out. They drill out the ears, and they drill out the nose, if you can believe it. Oh my goodness. That is just too much, I think. It makes an opening to the inside of the doll where when you are putting the doll together, there's a hole going into their head. It's absurd to me to do that. If you want it to be darker, or if you want it to be looking like an opening, you should be shading and painting it. I don't particularly want the nose to look like a hole. I think if it's colored, it's good enough. And you can put purple in the nose as well. If you want it darker, you just put purple in it. Blue and purple are darkening. Now, blue gives you a different dark color than purple does. If you just want it a little bit darker than the rest of the baby, just use purple. And you want to use the eyelid purple. Now, blue gives you a different feel. The blue is going to look blue. If you don't like the blue color, you're not going to want to put any blue on your doll. Put a little in the nose. You probably can't see inside the nose, but it's in there. Now, she is enhanced pretty good, I think, with purple. That's all the purple I would want to do on her. Now, the next color I'm going to use, Lucy's going to be my enhanced doll. Autumn has a very smoothie looking face. Now, she could get some too. She has some potential in her face. The next color I'm going to use is yellow. I don't usually use yellow anymore either, but today we're using yellow. This is my yellow brush. It's actually green, but you know what I mean. This is the one I've always used for yellow. I haven't used yellow in such a long time. I have some yellow right here. It's not primary yellow. Do not put primary yellow on your doll under any circumstances. That's my opinion. This darker yellow has a very pretty effect on your doll. It's pretty. But the reason I stopped doing it was because I could not appreciate the difference at the end of the doll. I'll get a sponge from up here that I've used before. These little incidental marks on the sponge will not make any difference. What in the heck's on this sponge anyway? Dust? What is that? I don't know, some kind of fuzz or something. It's not going to hurt the doll at all. But anyway, this color, it's a brownish looking yellow. It is called raw sienna. and it is a beautiful color. Uh, it looks very beautiful on your doll. Most of the time, people use raw well, they use yellow. Let's put it that way. They'll use a yellow color to put where the baby has fat. And where is that on a baby? It happens to be on the face. I'm going to try to point to it with my brush. Right along this little ridge that's coming up to the nose. It goes across the bridge of the nose and right back down on this side. And that's where they put it on the face. Some people put it down here by the mouth too, but I think that's a little much. I just use the very tips of this flat brush to really, really super control where I'm putting it. You may not can see the beauty of this yellow once I get it on there, because on camera, many, many enhancements do not show. But it puts a lovely, lovely color on your doll. It's very, very lovely. Now, the point of putting on things that don't show at the end is that it gives depth to the skin layers of the doll. People say, okay, you can't really see the yellow, but the effect of the yellow is still there. It will put a different layer of color on your doll, that when all these layers are on top of each other, they give a more realistic skin tone. That's the whole idea of it. I personally could not see little to no difference at all in the doll after I put at the end. I can see it now, and I can see it for several layers. But at the very, very end, when you're looking at your doll, I saw nothing that resembled that I even put yellow on it. That's why I stopped doing it. Now, if your doll has fat legs, and this one doesn't really have very fat legs, wherever the fat is on the legs, you can also, and arms, you can also put yellow there. A good doll for that is Tessa. But I don't put yellow there. That's the only place I put the yellow. That's why there's such a tiny bit made up here. This will last a year, probably. But you just don't need much. But that's the yellow. Now, the other thing I'm going to do to Lucy is I am going to do her lips and nails. I love doing that particular step. I'm going to make sure this brush does not have any purple in it. There we go. I don't put purple on the lips personally myself. Plenty of people do. You want to darken your lips. It will be a different color at the end. It won't be the same color as you see on my dolls because you put purple under. But purple will help to darken it up a lot faster. I personally just like putting the layers of this color on. I have tremendous success with that, and I like it. I'm not enhancing any more for her face right now because the colors that are already on there need to bake before any more colors go on it. I'm just doing her lips. I'm not even doing her ears because I put that purple inside her ears and I don't want to wash it out. So, what is that on my brush? I don't know. Anyway, here we go. What we want to do is follow that lip line. I've actually seen artists trace the lip line. I don't see any purpose in that because I'm just going to color them. And once they're colored, you have the lip line forevermore to follow then. Can I even see her lip line? Yes, I barely can. Sometimes on dolls, and Lucy's one of them, their lip line is not well defined. It's there, but it's very vague. On some dolls, they almost outline it with a different kind of, like a raised little area of vinyl. So you can see it much, much better. Now, Lucy is a doll that could have very full lips because she has, like I said, an undefined lip line. And you could basically stop it or start it wherever you wanted to. I like to paint the entire lip area, regardless of how big or small the lips are. Some people go out of the lip area to make more fuller lips, especially if they're making a darker doll and they want full lips on their doll. But you don't need to do that. Lucy has plenty full lips. She would make a very lovely dark doll. She would make a lovely little African American or biracial baby. I love this sculpt. I have a good friend. Her name's Regina, and she is her channel is Diva G's Reborns, and her reborns are awesome. She's an air dry artist, and I think I was a little unfair to air dry artists when I said, "Oh, air dry's not as good." Well, her dolls are fabulous. I'm gonna see if I can commission her to do a little melanated. She calls them melanated. They're black babies. She does black babies. I don't know if she does any white babies. She did an albino, but it was supposed to be an albino black baby, and she calls them melanated because they have more melanin. You know, that's what makes people have darker or lighter skin, is how much melanin do you have in your skin. And of course, the darker your skin, the more you have. And so she calls them melanated babies, which is a good term, I guess. But I'm gonna see if I can commission her to make me a baby, a little black baby. My niece was making exceptionally pretty black babies. She learned how to do it. I don't know how she learned it. I taught her how to reborn, but I've only ever made, now I did make one black, no, I think I made two. I made Tegan, and even though I didn't think she looked good, I got lots of compliments on her. And I donated her to the nursing home, and those ladies down there went gaga over that doll. I'm talking about the workers, not the patients. They were going, "Oh, I like that doll. I really, really like that doll." And the lady who was over giving out things like that to patients, she had to lock them in her office because she was afraid one of those workers was going to steal that doll. It was so nice, and they liked it so much that she locked it up. She said, "I got to lock that doll up. I just can't risk it." And she did. She locked it up, and she was a very nice lady, and I trusted that she wasn't going to steal it herself. And I get a lot of joy out of donating. I want to encourage others to donate. There are many, 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 many people in nursing homes in need of a companion. Nobody visits them. They get no kind of attention from the staff, really, because they're too overworked. And so these people are lonely. When I say lonely, if you were to go in the nursing home, they wouldn't hardly let you go. They want you to stay and talk to them and befriend them. They will grab onto you even. But it's because they are so lonely. And when they get a little baby doll, let me tell you, I've seen many people film going to the nursing home and passing out dolls. And they say, she thought it was a real baby. She wouldn't let it go. Some nursing homes don't give the dolls out to any particular resident. They just have them in like the day room. And anybody can go in there and hold them and love them. But these ladies want these dolls. And when I take them, I give them to patients. This is your doll. You keep it in your room. You hold it anytime you want to. Those lips look absolutely horrible. And you do to it, you can name it what you want, whatever. And they are super happy to get them. And I'm super happy to give them because I think they need them very bad. There we go, that's better. She's got some big, big lips. It's real hard to paint lips that big. But she would look funny with smaller lips, I think. These look really funny right now, but you know what? If you don't follow that lip line, even though it looks funny right now, later you'll be sorry. That's her lips. They look real funny, don't they? But anyway, I love to donate dolls. And I think if there's any deserving people, it's those people. And, for a free doll. And realistically, if you're a new artist, your first few dolls aren't going to be that good anyway. You're not, I mean, you might be super proud of them and you might want to keep them, but after you start getting better, you're going to go, well, those first few dolls are just not that good after all. I was super proud of them, but now, you know what? They look kind of funny now that I'm doing better. So you might want to get rid of them. Yes, you could probably get some money for them. You sure could. But I want you to consider donating them. And you don't really have to take them to a nursing home. If you know a lonely old lady in your neighborhood or something who doesn't get very many visits from her family and she's just alone, give her a doll. Men don't usually want them, but hey, if they want them, I would give a man a doll too. Because they have to have something to keep them company too. Some nursing homes give stuffed animals to the men. I don't know. But if you're trying to do these fingers that are crunched down like that, you can bend the hand back a little like that. Makes it a little bit easier to get to them. Now, when she comes out, I will be doing her hands and stuff and a little more to her face. She may have to have 3 rounds of enhancements because of the fact that I did the purple. You can't do the purple and then turn around and do the blue and the red too. It will just mess up the purple and the yellow that I put on her face already. You have too much on your brush, just put some on another fingernail, and then you can go, when you get to it, it's already got paint on it. You don't have to redip your brush. And you don't want too much on there that on purpose, but you know, if you accidentally get a little tiny too much, that's one way to get rid of it without having to try to get it back in the jar, let's say. We do want to cover these nails completely without getting it on the fingers themselves. I threw my sponge away that I was using to put sealer on the doll, so I'm going to have to wet another sponge. I sometimes save that sponge, but I end up throwing it away, but that's what I save it for, in case something like this happens. Oh, I hate it. I hate it that this one fingernail just has a sliver of it showing. That means you got to paint it. Oh, this is horrible. I hate partial nails. I like full or no nail. I like it when the nail is completely obscured. I don't want to see it. If it's covered any, I want it to be covered all the way. Some angles of nails are harder to paint than others. You know, the way the hand's angled or something makes it harder than if it was another way. Like this one, way up under these fingers, is going to be a little harder than if it wasn't way up under the fingers. It's a very delicate area to try to completely cover it without getting any on the hand or the finger. We don't want any on the palm of her hand or on her finger. These are Skya limbs. I bought them from Bountiful Baby just recently when they were having their, I think they were 60% off, I'm not sure. They're now selling their limbs one limb at a time. You don't even get a pair of arms and legs. You just get one arm, like a right arm or a left arm, and then a right leg or a left leg. So you have to buy 4 pieces. Used to, you could get the arms in one set and the legs in one set for one price. Now they're, I don't know, Bountiful Baby has turned over a new leaf. They're trying to get more money for their, I don't know what took them so long to do it. For so many years, they were just so cheap. And they'd have pages of dolls on sale. Any doll, they used to explain how they put dolls on sale. Any doll that had a certain inventory would just be on sale. Once the inventory dropped, they would take them off sale. And back in the day when I was first starting to make dolls, you'd get a Reborn kit for $29 and an artist kit for about $15. And now they're, whew, you see the prices now. Everything is so high. Over the years, they have really went up. And in the past, just 1 year, I've noticed $10 to $20 jump in the kits. They're trying to become more like other doll companies, I'm sure. But they still do run sales. I'm looking at the day when they won't be doing sales anymore. You know, some of those sites rarely have a sale. And if they have one, it's like $20 off or something. Okay. Now I'm going to put some sealer on her leg so that I can go on and pop Lucy in the oven real quick. And she can be baking while I'm doing the enhancements on Autumn. I keep wanting to call her August. I don't know why. Messy, messy, messy. I have 2 paper towel racks over here by my table, one on each side. My sister asked me, why do you need so many paper towel racks? I don't know. I need lots of paper towels, I guess. I'm just going to get a new sponge out for this. I'm just going to put the tiniest little bit on there. I'm not even going to mix it very much because, I mean, it's just a tiny spot. And this is plenty too much even. It's this leg, I believe. Yes, it is. I'm just going to do the front of her leg like this to make sure I get it all covered. Just like that. And we're done. Now I'm going to put her in the oven. It won't take me but a minute. And then I'll be right back and we'll work on Autumn. But I have to put her on my fingers like this so that I can keep her nails from touching anything. Like that. I just put them on my hand like that. And then I carry the head in my other hand. Okay, I'll be right back. Stare at my table while I'm gone. To keep from getting up again, I also grabbed a drink. Okay, we should be done with this. I'm going to put it back up. I like to keep my stuff closed up. Dries out quicker, and you spill it. Next thing you know, I'll be turning over paint or something and spilling it. So I like to keep it closed. Okay, now we're on to August. Autumn. I'm going to quit calling her August in a minute. Now, I could enhance her face as well, but most of the time when they have a face like this, I don't do much enhancing on it. I could do some. Keep my table as clean as I can. I'm just a slob. I noticed I was watching some of Regina's videos at Diva G's Reborns. And I noticed a couple things. She wears beautiful clothes while she's reborning dolls. She has wonderfully manicured long nails, and her table's always clean. And I go, oh my goodness, how does she accomplish that? I certainly can't do it. And she's just very, very fastidious about keeping her table clean, I guess. And how she keeps her hands that clean, I just don't know. My hands always look dirty to me. And I'm going, well, I'm not stopping to wash my hands. She must stop in between every video and wash her hands. She must. Okay, now I'm going to try to enhance Autumn's face a little bit. We're going to start with the blue. I'm not putting any purple on her or yellow. I was just doing that to demonstrate the yellow. But I am going to put some blue on her forehead up here, like I always do. Lucy will be getting some too, but she won't be getting it until she comes out from her bake, because she is going to be too wet, too much color at one time. It's not good for your doll. I'm going to use the same one I used for the purple. I used to have a purple, yellow, blue sponge that I dabbed all those colors with the same color, the same sponge, I mean. There we go, that looks good. A little more. Sometimes you just can't see the blue very well. And sometimes you see it too well. But dabbing it makes it smoother and feathery looking. We don't want it to be super harsh. Harsh is not good. I have a kabuki for that, but it doesn't need kabuki in. Okay, now we're gonna move to the red. Now, since Autumn didn't get any purple on her face, I can do almost all of her red. The first thing on red that you wanna do is, you wanna give their face a background, a light pinkish color that will keep their face from looking super pale. Normally people put highlights on the eyes, the nose, the chin maybe, and the cheeks, and then the rest of the face just looks incredibly pale, like they're sick or something. So we don't want that. So I'm just going to put this light pinkish color kind of all over her face. This is not so light, but still we're going to put it all over her entire face. And then we're going to dab the crap out of it to get most of this harsh look out. Looks very harsh, and it looks like somebody actually painted a baby's face, put some makeup on it or something. Looks terrible. And this is not what we want. We want it to be soft. But this paint is some of that harsher paint that I was using before I switched up and went back to the lighter paint. So anyway, we're just going to get it all over like this, and then I'm going to take this red and I'm going to dab it all off, most of it anyway. We're going to try to get her very light and soft. See how dark that is right there? I don't know what made that be like that. I don't like that at all. It's probably an excess of sealer. If you're not liking a spot like that, you need to try to fix it. The best time to fix any sort of a mistake or something you don't like is right when it happens. If you let it go through a bake, or you let it go through other layers of paint, you're just going to make it worse. That's what happens when you have a mistake. Now I can probably do this safely. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to put a little bit, and I mean drops, of paint thinner onto here and soften that a bit. See what it's doing? It's taking all the color off. See what happens? And now I will probably have to take all the color off of her face now, because it's going to be near impossible to match that to the surrounding area. But maybe not. Maybe if I just keep dabbing it around, that's a little better. It's still, you can still see that on her face. I don't know what that is. It just feels like a rough area of sealer to me. I'm going to look for my pencil. This is one of those times that you gotta fix a mistake. Here we go. There's not much eraser left on my pencil. I just have a regular pencil with an eraser, and I'm just going to erase that spot a little bit. It's going to smooth out that sealer just a little bit, because it's just too rough. Believe it or not, a pencil eraser will take multitudes of stuff off of your doll. It's not going to look natural though. I am messing it up more, I think. Oh, Autumn, don't make me strip you. She's at the point right now where I would be willing to strip her to get this off her face. I don't know. It's tearing up this. I'm gonna just take I'm taking the pink off her face. Usually if you haven't baked them yet, you can actually use paint thinner to remove almost all, if not every bit of the color you just put on a doll. And that way you can make them more even. That little bit that's left behind is not going to hurt a thing. It's going to dry her a little bit. Yeah. Just trying to get that dirty look off her face. It looks dirty. Yes, this is one of those problems we have to take care of when we're doing dolls. When you're removing paint from a doll's face, you want to get as much of it off as you can. Now, if it's up here like in the corners of her eyes or something, that's not going to hurt anything because those areas are commonly a little bit darker on a doll anyway. But we definitely want the area that we were having a problem with fixed. And that does feel a lot smoother. I erased some of it off. I used an eraser. And if you erase hard on a doll, now this pencil doesn't have much of an eraser at all. In fact, some of this metal part is actually sticking up. So I didn't want to rub her too hard. I was afraid I'd scratch her. So I just was sort of gently rubbing her, but I think I rubbed it down to the point where now I can probably reapply her blush and it will be okay. I'm going to try just this spot first before I do her whole face and see if it's going to turn dark again right there. It's much better. Look at that. It's still going to be a little darker, but it's much better. If you can't completely remove the problem, the one thing you want to do the most is minimize it. And now the paint's going on a lot smoother because the brush doesn't have as much color in it. It's going on a little bit lighter and less stark and dark and intense. We just want a soft background of color on her face. And that's how you take care of a problem when you have it. You don't really necessarily need to strip the whole doll, not necessarily. Sometimes you can just do a little trick like that and get it off. Now, if you were using water, air dry paint, it's water-based. You could probably just wet your little sponge with some water and wipe it right off. I believe that's what you do for air dry. I can't use any of these sponges. They have paint thinner on them, so I'm throwing them out. Yeah, there they go. You use a lot of sponges when you're making a doll. I don't think I put my kabuki in any paint thinner. If I did, I'll have to let it dry completely. But we're just going to pounce around on her and get her as clean and pretty as we can. She's looking pretty good now. It's still slightly visible. She may be getting a baby scratch. I don't know yet, but it's much minimized than it was. I'm not liking it still. I may still strip her. I just may have to. I don't know. I don't know. What do y'all think? I wish I knew what you thought right now without me having to... Oh. Well, here we go. It is acetone. This is what you use to strip a doll with heat set. Now, a lot of people tell you, no, don't do that. It's dangerous. They mean to the vinyl, not to you. But I'm going to take one of these stronger, thicker, denser sponges. I'm just going to strip her face. I don't think I'm going to strip her entire head. Now there's a trick to this to not make a huge mess, and I'm not sure I can perform it. I've had this can of acetone for a long time, because like I told you, I rarely ever strip a doll anymore. I'm putting out this paper towel so that if I spill any, I can actually catch it. Acetone flashes extremely fast. And if you don't know what that means, look at that. See, it just takes it right down to the bare vinyl. Some of the sealer is still on there. I can feel it. But I am just doing her face. If I have to do any part of her face, I want to do the whole face. It's going to take almost all of it off of her. If you have a rag, you might get a little better results with a rag. Because see, this is getting already too dirty to use. Yep, she's still got sealer on her. I can feel it. That sealer's thick. I'm not doing anything with this, with that. I need a rag. Any old rag will do. This is a piece of a sheet. It will do even. I usually use wash rags, but any old rag will do. Now, there's some things like nylon and stuff like that. You can't use that. The acetone will eat right through it. But most things that rag type things are fine. I'm probably going to just strip her whole head because, well, it's just not going to strip well if I don't. I'm just going to strip her. I'm not going to strip her arms and legs. They don't need it. But see, this acetone's already off of this rag. It's already off. It's gone. The rag's almost completely dry. So this is a process, and it is not a good one. If I still had a bowl, believe me, I'd be using it. Also a wash tub, like a dish pan. It's that thick, heavy-duty plastic that acetone won't eat through. Acetone will eat through some things, but some things it won't. So you want to use something that it won't. Sometimes I even use a paintbrush for this. I'll put some acetone in like a glass, and I'll just paint it on the doll, because you can just keep on wetting the doll down over and over again. Now this is a process you want to do kind of fast, because acetone is very bad for your kit. So once you get all the sealer off of your doll, you are going to want to take your doll to the sink and wash it. And even though most of this sealer is going to come off of this doll, there is going to be some color left on this doll. Because, well, I thought for sure I had another paintbrush down there, but I guess I don't. I'm just going to have to keep on wetting this rag, I guess. Acetone flashes so fast you wouldn't even believe. You can pour like half of this jug into a bowl and start to strip a kit. And before you're even finished, it's gone from the bowl. It's just gone because it flashed. It all evaporated out. It's very quick. What we want is to not feel anything slimy. When the sealer starts breaking down from the acetone, it gets very slimy. And you'll feel slime on your doll. And so when you don't feel any more slime, it's off. It's kind of soaking into this rag, the slime. And we want to get all that off, because that will also make an excess of sealer on the doll. And we want this, I really wanted this doll kit very bad. So to let her not get the right color, it's just not agreeable with me. I just don't want that. I want her to have super good color. So I am stripping her. This is something I rarely do. Now, if there was ever a chemical you don't want to get on your hands, acetone is probably it. For one thing, it's freezing cold. It feels icy, icy, like you're in Alaska with your hands in the water. And it's not a good feeling. And another thing is it dries your skin and your nails so bad. And if you don't like dry skin, you're going to need to wash your hands as well, very thoroughly when you get finished with this. I'm not a glove person. I know some people wear gloves, but I can't feel the doll kit very well. And when I can't feel the doll kit, I can't tell what I'm doing to it, really. It's like, okay, this is weird and foreign. I can't do it with gloves on. Some people do, some people don't. But I don't. I'm a don't. This takes a little while, and as you can see, it's building up some, I don't know where that black fuzzy stuff's coming from, possibly on this rag. It's possibly a dirty rag. But we're going to wash the kit again, so don't worry. It's taking it off, and that's all that matters. She's pretty well clean. Like I said, you're not going to get... Now, if I just took a toothbrush and spent an immense amount of time scrubbing her, I could probably get all the color off because it hasn't even been baked. But this tiny, tiny bit of color that's on her will not make any difference. But yes, you can keep on going and get it off. I'm worried about these tiny little seams in her face and her lips and around her nose becoming very thin and washing out. I'm going to go to the sink. You might can hear me washing this doll, and I'm going to wash her now. I think she's ready. She seems smooth everywhere, so I'm going to wash her. If she ends up with a powdery white look on her, she's not finished. That's still sealer that's been left behind, and the acetone has reacted to it, and you'll need to rub that off because that probably won't bake out like just white sealer will. You know, if you get some streaks of sealer from where you put a little too much in one spot, that's not such a big thing. But if your acetone has been all over the sealer and there's still some residue of sealer on your doll, it will be white and chalky looking, and it will be something you need to get off, because if you don't, you're going to have, like I said, a problem. We just need to get as much of it off as we can. And I think I've gotten most of it off. Now, once I wash her, you'll be able to see it a little better. Any leftovers. I'm going to go wash her real quick. Okay. This doll is now what I call compromised because she's been stripped. It doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with her. It just means she's had a harsh chemical on her and things may not go as you planned. So, to compensate for that, we are going to treat her like a doll that we're going to make bald. If you made your doll bald, what would you do different than what you do when you make your doll that's going to have hair? I'm not saying that she is going to bust open or anything like that. I'm saying she is compromised with sealer, with acetone. That means she could possibly have a weaker spot on her than normal, or she could have a, see, she's got a little bit of white residue on her. It's such a tiny amount, I can't even feel any sealer still on her. But that white residue is from the acetone reacting to the sealer. That's what it's from. And if I was to clean her some more, I could probably get it off, but at this point, I'm afraid to put any more acetone on her. Acetone can be safely used if you're careful. And I was very careful. You notice she still has some pink in her crevices. Like I said, in order to get it out of her crevices, you would need toothpicks and toothbrushes and all kind of scrubbing instruments that would pretty much force the acetone right into those cracks and cause them to have a greater effect on those tiny, thin little areas. Right here on where her eyelids are is very, very, very thin. If you've ever tried to root eyelashes and you're no good at it like me, then you've noticed that rooting the eyelashes, sometimes it seems like that little line is gonna sever. And now if you just put acetone in it, it indeed may sever. But I think she's gonna be okay now. She looks really good. Now up here on her head, I can still feel there's some sealer, but she's gonna get hair. Come what may, I'm going to give her hair. So we are going to go with this. There is a tiny spot on her forehead. I'm gonna have to get that off. Okay, we're just gonna use this paper towel, and I'm gonna put the tiniest spot of acetone on this paper towel and get that off of her forehead. Because if I don't, it is absolutely gonna show. Okay, here we go. That's better. She is getting so clean. She is so clean. I'm going to get a little more off her face. Just the big areas of her face, not the crevices. The crevices cannot take anymore. There's a point you don't want to go past when you're stripping your doll. It's not a good idea to strip your doll. Let's put it that way. Stripping is bad. That's why I don't do it most of the time. 90% of the time, I am not willing to strip a doll. She was in the very early stages, so I did strip her. But not my usual. Okay. Since that was only on her outer parts, I'm just going to wet another paper towel with some water. I'm going to use my drinking water, and I'm going to just wash her that way. Oops, I'm pouring it all over the floor. Thank goodness it's just water, right? What we just want to do is stop that acetone action, and this should do it. There we go. She is clean. Her face is very clean. There we go, Autumn. I called the right name that time. Anyway, this has taken up a chunk of time of doing Autumn. We're up to an hour and 19 minutes. So now that I've thrown away the second sponge that had sealer on it, I am going to get another one. Oh, and I'm going to seal her head again. Oh, I got some out already. It seems like sometimes you don't hardly use any sponges, and other times you're using massive amounts of sponges. So we're going to seal her. When we leave this time to put her in the oven, she's going to have, well, her head has to have 2 bakes, her arms don't. So we will be giving her 2 bakes, and when we come back, we will be giving her her first enhancements again. So this is a better way than just letting her have that ugly streak on her face. I guess. I don't know. I am very picky in some ways, and in other ways, not so much. But here we go. We're going to try to seal her. She seems very clean to me. So here we go. She has a few spots that still have old, I don't know what that is. I've got to see. I am getting beeps and I don't even know what it is. Sometimes it's people, I don't know what that is. Sometimes I just touch things on my phone and I don't realize I'm touching them and they're just open when I come back to my phone. Well, that's good. That was my son. What? I have to ask him about that. Showed me a picture of a vehicle suspension notice. I don't know why he did that. Why would he do that? If you don't send your insurance information to the state, they suspend your vehicle registration now. It's like, we're going to make sure you do it. We're going to fix it where you can't drive. They sent me one. I hope that's not mine. They sent me one, but they sent it to his house. I used to live there, but I don't live there anymore. And I changed my address when I renewed my tags, but they sent the notice to him anyway. And they, I called them and I said, look, I don't even have that vehicle anymore. It hasn't run for years. It's been sitting in my son's yard for like 2 or 3 years. So then finally he did a little work on it and it would start up again. So I wanted to drive it, so I bought tags for it and I had insurance on it. And I drove it one day and the thing broke down again. And I told him, I'm done with it. I'm not trying that vehicle anymore. Take it and scrap it. And he did. He took it to a scrapyard and he crushed it. Had it, well, he sold it to them and they crushed it. He didn't crush it, but and they were sending me something to send proof of insurance because I had a registered vehicle and they couldn't find any insurance on file. That's why I called them. They said, okay, we'll take care of it. Thank you for letting us know. And then next thing you know, he's calling me and saying, oh, you got another one of them notices about the insurance. I don't even have the vehicle. How in the world am I going to have any insurance on it? They didn't ask for proof that it got crushed, but I told them, I said, look, I don't even have that vehicle anymore. She looks like her face is already a little enhanced. She won't need much enhancing. But anyway, she's covered now. And we're going to stop the video now and get her baked. I'm going to bake her head twice, her limbs once. Lucy should be coming out any moment. And we will be back after Autumn has had 2 bakes. This is a long enough video anyway. And I'm going to ask everybody to please like, subscribe, and share. And happy reborning.